What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to talk about this new Black Maria. I think this new Black Maria might be the best card in the game. And I don't say that lightly. I've actually seen other people say that. And maybe I'm being a little bit over the top here. But I did a translation myself for One Piece cards. I always do. I won't look at another translation until I've translated it myself. It seems a bit rude. So I did this translation myself, and I went, no, there's no way that's right. So I went and chatted with a lovely Aaron Samurai D, who, checks the people on the Discord, etc. And they got the same translation I did. And then I went back and checked my translation, knowing what it was supposed to say, according to other people. And it's definitely right. It's just way too good. Now, first of all, free cost 2,000 power, counter plus 2,000. In what world does this have a 2k counter being as good as it does? But it's got activate main once per turn. If you have no other Black Maria in play, add up to 5 Don cards from your Don deck rested. And then at the end of your turn, you return Don cards from your field to the Don deck until the number of Don cards on your field is equal to or less than the number of Don on your opponent's field. So, I can add 5 Don with I put a 3k out. I then get 5 Don. I go first. On turn 2, I've got 3 Don to use. I play Maria. I then put 5 Don out. And yeah, sure, the Don goes out rested, you can't use them to pay for characters, that would be truly broken, but purple love Don minor skills, which will totally work here, and of course, if it's not on the first turn of the game or whatever, the first couple of turns, your opponent's probably going to have more Don than you because you're playing purple and they're not, and oh look, you do get to keep the Don. And there's little things that make this so much better. The fact that it's activate main once per turn, there's no Don X1, so you don't need to put a Don on here, which is obviously very, very relevant because, you can't do that at a free cost if you need to also add a Don. And there's no you must Don minus or any of that. It's literally just put 5 Don out. But also, you don't have to rest this character, which is super important because you can only attack rested characters. So if my opponent gets this and uses this and rests the character, I'm taking that out immediately. But you don't have to rest the character. So you never attack with this. And you say to your opponent, look, if you've got a card that can just take this out, fine. If you've got a card that can rest it and attack it, fine. But I'm making you have the stuff you need in order to do this. I am not just letting you have this. That is absurd. And this just opens up so many plays. And we'll get to some characters and all in a minute, but I just want to take a look at some leaders here that I have kind of looked past for a while, and all of a sudden I like them so much better. Let's take Kaido. I never forgot about Kaido. You see, the Kaido leader, the starter deck leader, Don -7, trash the top card of your opponent's life. That is a lot. Because you've got to shuffle 7 Don back. Here's what I'm thinking, and this is kind of hilarious. You've had 4 turns, you went first, you've got 7 Don. Your opponent's had 4 turns, they've got 8 Don. Hey, I've got 7 Don. I'm going to just put them all back. I'm going to use them all, then they're rested. I'm going to put them all back, trash the top card of my opponent's life. Oh, I've lost 7 Don. It's going to take a while to get back to that, isn't it? No! Because I use Black Maria, I get 5 Don back, and then it gets to the end of the turn, and I've got 5 Don. We're assuming there's no other Don ramp, and we know there's other cards that Don ramp, yeah? But let's just assume for the second we haven't done anything else. Well, I've got 5 Don, and I look over at my opponent, and they've got 8 Don, and I'm like, well, they got more Don than me. I don't need to put any Don back in my Don deck. So I use Kaido's skill, which is supposed to be it's a once per game thing. Maybe twice if you're super lucky. But as soon as I get to 7 Don, I'm just kind of like, you know what? I'm going to use this, and then I'm going to get 5 Don right back with Maria, and then at the start of my next turn, I get 2 more Don, and then I've got 7 Don. And you can literally do this every turn. Because every turn, you're going to get 5 Don back with Maria, and at the same time, you're going to obviously get 2 Don at the beginning of your turn, And that's your 7 Don. So this Kaido, which is supposed to not go every turn, is now all of a sudden going every turn. And look, I've looked at this scan. It's clearly from a magazine scan. It's coming from a Twitter account which has proven to be pretty reliable in the past. And frankly, it looks legit. It just doesn't seem like a viable card. Like, I mean, it's viable, it's great, it's amazing, but it really does seem like the kind of card you look at and you're like, they didn't print that. Like, there's no way, but they did. Looks like they have anyway. This card looks absurd. Another leader that has absolutely been on my mind, King. The King leader from way back in OP01. Yeah, we're going old school, ladies and gentlemen. We are going old school. This is another leader that people thought was going to be good, and in the early days of the game, there were some people playing it and seeing a bit of success, but it never really panned out. King never ended up being good enough. Well, one of the great things about King is, it's if you've got 10 cards on the field, give all your opponent's characters minus 10,000 power. And this is on your turn. So if you've got 5 Don on the field, you use Black Maria, and all of a sudden, your opponent's characters all have minus 1,000 power. And sure, you lose that Don at the end of your turn, but it doesn't really matter because you lose a skill at the end of your turn anyway. So instead of when you've got 10 Don, if you've got Black Maria on the field, then all of a sudden King effectively says if you have 5 Don cards on your field, give all of your opponent's characters minus 1,000 power. All of their blockers get worse. All of their characters become easier to KO, etc., etc. And we're left with another leader which is so much better than it should be. And sure, you can only have one Black Maria in play at a time, but like you stash it in your hand. You play one, and you keep the other one in your hand, and if your opponent KOs this, and they're obviously going to be coming for it, well, you just play your next one, and then you'll probably be okay. But it also opens up all kinds of potential here. Like, take Luffy, for instance. The Gear 5 Luffy, the really good Luffy. Great card, but it's clearly overpowered. Don minus 10, put all your characters except this character at the bottom of your deck in any order, and then take an extra turn. So fine, you have to Don minus 10, that's going to be a pain. And then this Luffy will ramp you to 1. And then on your following turn, you'll gain 2, so you'll be at 3 Don. Well, if you've got Black Maria, you're playing Black Maria, you go straight from 3 to 8, and then you look at your opponent and you're like, oh, you're not playing purple. You've still got 10 Don. I'm keeping these 5 for Maria. Except you're not actually at 8, you're at 9, because then Luffy's skill comes in again. So you Don minus 10 with Luffy, then you go back to 1 with this, go back to 3 with the Don at the start of your turn, play Maria, go up to 8, go up to 9 with Luffy, last turn you minus 10 Don, and now you're already back to 9? Yeah. That gets pretty dumb pretty quickly. And yes, if you haven't realised, all you need to do is find one more way to ramp one more Don, and you're back to 10, and then you're using this all the way over again. Oh, and if you're playing something like Kaido, like an Animal Kingdom Pirates leader, don't forget you got Onigashima Island, which won't get returned by Luffy, but will ramp that extra Don. I have wanted Starter Deck Kaido to be good again since Starter Deck 1, and it hasn't been. And I accept that. Starter Deck Kaido had a good run in the OP01 meta, and then got pretty terrible. And stayed pretty terrible. Oh, it's not there anymore, ladies and gentlemen. It is not there anymore. This is a game-changing card. This is a card so good. Like, I've done my videos for the day, alright? I'm done. And then I saw this card, and I'm like, I need to talk about this card. And most people are looking at this, and they're looking at red, purple lore, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's a fair point. It doesn't give the ridiculous combos that some like the Animal Kingdom Pirates do, but like a lot of purple decks, there's a lot of Don minus skills going on. Because it's Don minus 3, Put one of your opponent's characters of 3,000 or less at the bottom of their owner's deck and play a card for cost of 4 or less from your hand. The problem with red-purple lore is trying to don -3 every turn can be very, very prohibitive. The thing is, Black Maria does not make you put all that don back. It makes you put don back until you are level with your opponent. And that is the key here, because if I don, let's say we've both got 10 donnies, just to make it easy. We've both got 10 dom. I don -3 with Law. Let's get the don back with Black Maria. And then it's going to be, it's rested now, but it's going to be ready to start on my next turn. And actually having Maria on the field essentially means that this Law skill just fires. There's no Don minors or any of that garbage. It just works. Red-purple Law gets a million times better with this. Kaido gets a million times better. King gets a million times better. But really, every purple deck gets a million times better. Don minor skills are one of the real trademarks of black decks. And now they're just so much less difficult. Because what's going to happen is that you'd minus and then you just get it all back. And you don't even have to get rid of it again because you're just, you were even, you go below, you go back to even, jobs are good 'em. This is one of the best, most broken cards we've seen in the One Piece TCG so far. It is frankly ridiculous. But I've told you that now. And now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this card. Tell me if you think it's as good as I think it is. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.